one thing you can't see. Alright, whatever. Sarsaparilla Mickey away. That's when all I want is a cold water and all that's left is like 2 sips. Mind you, I have the water to put in the fridge to get cold. I just didn't put it in there. I'd rather have it on and then like enter and just have it on and be looking at it. I don't like to like look at myself while I'm on camera. I'm trying to figure out what to do in my life right now, which is like so complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated, right? It's like wake up, sleep, repeat. It's not mine. It's like this cup has a bunch of cards in it. They're Jumanji cards. It's like I am not playing Jumanji, but I am playing Jumanji right now with the universe that decided that it was going to take the old game that's in the cupboard, and then cats, that's like they're kind of known to be this like correlation of spiritual messages and things, started having fights in the cabinet, and then they sleep in the box of games, and then they started shooting cards out to me. And so like I had to go to court on the day that I found the first card, and on there was this woman and she's wearing this teal shirt. I was like wearing a teal shirt that same day when I went to court. And since then I've gotten all these cards, which coincidentally are like super metaphorical. I guess if I'm like seeking into like finding ways to make them make sense, that they make sense. But then it's like if I have an old Jumanji game in the cupboard that I'm not playing and the cats are throwing cards at me from the cupboard, of course I'm going to play. But the last card that I decided to choose, because one day I'll just like wake up and they'll just be out there on the ground, and like I've opened the cupboard and showed on my Snapchat how like it's in there and the cats are sleeping in there and it's old as fuck and falling apart. And I've even like chosen cards, so I could probably do that right now. I'll go choose a card to like, this is the last card that I was on, which is like the storm. It's a die card. I don't know, it's actually, I have a red light on so you can actually see what it says, but normally this is like obscured with some sort of weird code, so you have to put it under the little decoder to read it. But the light I have on right now just like lets you see it. This does not have to mean my death, okay? These actually look, to me, look like legs, and your head is in the clouds. So honestly, you could just be getting fried alive because you're also blind, which is kind of how I feel right now, because it's like I'm going through so much that's like stuff that like I guess normal people are going through right now. Like my son's been kidnapped by the government, and it's like, okay, so he's been taken by CWS. They are the government. As far as I'm concerned, he's been kidnapped by the government because what they're basing the foundation of taking him upon is lies. And then they took away the charges at court that they took him on. Took the charges away. Like there wasn't charges, I wasn't arrested, I wasn't detained. I have no record even, you know, ever. I've never been arrested. I've never been in the back of a car. I'm clean. So clean that they are trying to find things to put on me to make me dirty. And I'm not. I'm taking clean drug tests, except they say dirty. If you drink too much water, then your pee is too clean, then the drug testing place for court reads that as dirty because they think you're trying to flush your system with too much water. But it's like got me so stressed out right now that I'm like retaining water like on my legs to this point where like you can push in, and it's like I feel like it's just giving me like high blood pressure, and honestly I don't like it at all. It's like I've been dealing with this for like almost a year now, and I know that there are other parents that are dealing with this like all over. In California is just this, that's where I'm at. It's just a super strict place where like if you were to take the numbers of children in the CWS system and the welfare system in California and weigh them against the rest of the country, the second state below California is Texas. However, California has twice the amount that Texas has, like, of children in there. And like right now there's all these blue ribbons, and it's like every child's safe everywhere. But that's not necessarily true. There are lots of children that have been damaged more in the system that's attempting to keep them safe than at home with their families. And like that's what's happening to my son right now. And it has me at this crazy place where like I know I'm being monitored by law enforcement. I know that there are things that are going on. I live in a small community. I have a sheriff, drug task force sheriff that lives right around the corner from me, who is always like friends with my dad, talking to him about things that go on in like the neighborhood. And like the other day I was on my way home from one of these like services and things that I'm doing, and like one of his dogs was in the road, and I was like, oh my god, his dog's in the road. It's a little dog, it's expensive, he shouldn't be in the road, coyotes are gonna kill him. I was like, get back in the fucking house. And like and then I didn't like, I was gonna go back and try and pick him up to take him over there just because he's like this $2,000 dog. And so I went to my dad's house, and I was like, look, you gotta call the sheriff and let him know his dog's like outside on the road. And like he told me he tried to call him and his phone number was blocked. I was like, there's no reason for your phone number, because I know he's been asking him about things that have been going on my property, and the things that they're asking about and like the people they're asking about, like I don't know who's trying to lie about what to who, but there's like nothing going on like here. You know, like I am doing everything right. I'm doing everything so right. And when I'm attempting to like reach out to find people to like work on my property, to like take away landscaping things or do stuff that has to happen. Like, you know, I'm like a single mom. Like I don't have like an income. My family income is coming from like the farm that's farming, and my mom just died last year, and we're attempting to like transfer everything over to myself and my brother, like when my dad dies. So like my life is just this place right now where CWS is like looking at me like, you don't have a 9-to-5 job. And I was like, well, I did, but I gave all that up to be a mom to my son. And until you took him from me, I was like a 24/7 mom to that boy. And just because you didn't understand or agree with the things that I was doing or how I was doing them doesn't mean it gave you any right to take him away from me, you know? And it's like all because his father's side of the family is involved in politics. I'm not really sure, because I'm not following them. I don't have anything to do with any of their lives. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I just want my own self to be, like, living with my son somewhere where we can just be happy, and I can, like, watch him grow and fruit and be the man that he's going to be, which is a great man one day. I tell him all the time, you're going to be a great man someday, because he will be. Just because he can't talk right now, it just means that he can't express the things that he's going through. And it's like, we are, like, this, we're cut from the same cloth. Like, he's like my mini-me. And it's like I operate at a very high, like, frequency and a very high pace. Yes, I smoke, but I don't eat meat right now, and I live, like, a very, like, morally, like, pure life to the point where it's like I am spiritually sound. Like, right now, if you were to kill me, like, right now, I'm so excited to go to my next level. I have levels there that are being built for me. And if those of you that don't understand that, that just means that you don't operate at the frequency that I do, that I know that I'm building levels there now, because I am. And you might not be, but that means that you're just a follower here that goes where people want you to go. You know, and right now, that's just back to hell. Like, we live in hell right now. Any world that's a world at all where people are treated the way that they are, especially children and handicapped and elderly and like veterans, like, there's just all sorts of things that I've been seeing around me that just indicate that we live in hell. Like, we don't live anywhere near the type of life that we're supposed to live here, which is like, God left this place as like a garden for him. And you think he's going to be happy to come back to see it like this? He'd be pissed as fuck. You know, I'm pissed as fuck just to like feel like if I have to like leave this realm, that my son is going to grow up in this piece of shit. And I don't want him to, you know, and I was never that like, I'm going to fix the world, I'm going to change the world kind of person. But it's like, I feel like my purpose here is to do certain things like that. And then it's like, I'm being bogged down right now by the system that's just treating me like I'm a piece of shit. And I know that I'm not. I know that at some point I'm going to get it back. And it's like, it's already been a year. And the last time we went to court because I insisted on another court date to come up so that we could go back and look over the things that were going on. And I've been going to the wellness center in my area, and it's like part of the mental health place. Like, it's like, if you have like mental health problems, they either like 5150 you and lock you up in the mental place. I don't even know where it is. I just call it the mental place. Or you're facilitated by like psychiatric, you know, people, and then you do these, you know, workshops and stuff. Well, I've been going to those, and the place where I go, it's really hard for me to be there, because it's like, I've been going to workshops for like bipolar and schizophrenia and like manic depressive, and it's like being around other people who have to have like people take care of them. Like they have people driving them around. They have people that have to help them to the bathroom. There are people there that are homeless and on services, and I'm sitting there trying to deal with like what I'm going through and realizing that like everything that I say is like so above where everyone else is on the level that they're living. It's like, where are all the other like thousands of like CWS parents that they're like putting through the ringer, that they're keeping my son in an extended time away from me, took my rights away from me, even though my drug tests are clean, I have no record, and that they have just been monitoring me like some sort of like great mouse detective that like lives in my cupboard. And like coincidentally enough, I have this refrigerator that Samsung refrigerator has its own internet, and I was like, how does the refrigerator have its own internet? It's just really weird that it has Wi-Fi. I'm like, I don't even have Wi-Fi, but my refrigerator does, and it got shipped to me with like these mice in it. So now I have mice. So I call them moose just because they leave these little like packages everywhere. And then it was kind of funny. Like it came to this thing where it's like, I have to make things funny, because if I don't make it funny, I'm just gonna like lose my friggin' mind. That there's that ice cream that's like moose tracks, but then it's like, is that the CEOs of like the ice cream company just saying that there's mouse shits in everybody's ice cream? And like, here you go, enjoy your mouse shits, moose tracks, everyone. I know, because that's what it's like. There's just like moose tracks all over my house. And like, that's another thing that I shouldn't normally have to deal with. And then it's just like, to have all of my rights taken away from me at court the last time that I go through, even though that I'm doing everything right, they keep insisting it's some sort of mental health issue. And like, I get it. I have a personality that is just like very intense and very like vast, and I have ideas and things that I like come up with that are just like, I'm a creative person, I'm an artist, And so they don't understand is when there are people that are here that are like the CWS, who first of all didn't even have the cops with them when they first came here. So that's another thing that they did wrong. They didn't even go into my house. And then when the sheriffs did show up, they all showed up wearing gloves already. It's like, you're really going to show up to my house with gloves on already and then send all the real big guys just because you assume that you're going to have to go through some fight? And then it ends up in my court papers that says that I was being aggressive with them. I wasn't. And I'm like, we're in court. If you treated this like a criminal case where you pulled in all the camera footage of all the people that were here that day and you actually got statements of them, it wouldn't say what it says, because they said that I had some sort of interaction with an officer that said I was going to fight them. And I was like, that's not at all what happened. What happened was, I was like, look, it's coming down to this point where you're going to take him. I don't want to let you take him. So what does that mean? Like, I'm standing here at the door. Like, if I say no, you can't take him. Like, what is that going to be? And I was familiar with this officer already just because he had come here to my house prior because my dog had been stabbed. And like, that's another thing they say, I'm being paranoid about being attacked at my house. I had somebody come and kill my dog and steal a mini bike from my barn, and with my son when he was here. And then I posted that live on my Instagram, just running around looking at the blood stains that were here when I was like, fuck, they are still here. And I called, and the sheriffs came, and they trailed the blood out to wherever it went and stuff. So it's like, one of the officers that was there on the scene that day was there the day they took my son away. And I was like, so what is that going to be? Is it going to be like a fight? Like, if I don't let you take him? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, so what is it? Like, you're going to fight me, or like, you're going to tase me, or like, what is it? Because I just want to know, like, what I'm in for. Like, if I'm standing at the door and I'm like, no, you're not going to take him. Like, are we going to fight or what? And he's like, are you going to tase me? And he's like, yeah, and we don't want that. And I was like, I don't want that either. So I don't want to go there. And that was the communication that we had. And it was very pleasant. It was chill. There was no like aggressive kind of thing, but it's just the way that things can escalate when they're trying to take your child away. And then some people are like writing things down where it's like every single detail of what they say. They said that I made threatening, statements like towards the CWS guy. And I was like, look, one of the things that I said was like, would you put your children where like mine is? Are you a dad? Like, do you have family? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is if you're trying to take him away from the situation where he is and put him to where I know you're going to put him, like, would you put your kids in that same place? And then it just like, I don't know how things get misconstrued, because there's things in court that just happened that they turned around to make it seem like didn't even happen at all, or that I was the one that was at fault for that, And so like when they took him, like I packed a bunch of clothes for him, like I got him ready right in front of everybody. And then he comes out here and almost runs away. And I'm like, you guys are the first 5 seconds that he's in custody with you and he's running away already. Like, you know, they had to chase him down the driveway just to get him to come back to the car where they were trying to take him in. He doesn't know why he's gone, but it's just like so many things to have to go through. And then I'm sitting there with my caseworker being like, look, they have him in little girl pigtails at school. Like, he has long hair. And it's like, shouldn't be smoking. It's like, I need to take a break. Sometimes it's like I talk for so much, so long, so fast that it just like seems like some kind of run-on sentence. And it's like, stop, just take a break. But then it's like I feel like I'm just desperately trying to get information out because I'm like, help. I need help. Like SOS, help. Help, 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 help. Like when you're on the internet and they're like, wear this color or do this with your finger if you need help, kind of thing, all the time. And I don't know what kind of help I need at this point. People would say that it's like psychiatric help, right? But see, I'm already going to a therapist twice a month. However, it's the county therapist. And then I'm going to these workshops almost every single day. And I've gone, when I was at court, they said I've been to like 144. What other parent in CWS is going to these things right now? Because I know that there aren't any. Because I'm there going through them almost every day. And then the days that I'm not there doing them, I've got drug counseling meetings or I have visitations with my son. And then it's like, there was this one day where they said that they had to cancel the last part of the visit because he was like screaming and crying. And then they were saying he's screaming and crying the whole time that we have our visits, which is totally wrong. I told my caseworker today, I was like, who said that? I want to know who said that. We need to figure that out because that's going to court saying that we have bad visits. And the only reason they keep him from me is because whatever is getting documented at the place is getting miscommunicated to the people that write it down, that gets miscommunicated to the people that type it in, that gets miscommunicated to the people that print that out at court. And then the woman at court that speaks for the agency won't even look at me when she's reading these things. She's like, the agency thinks that, and then it's like they were saying that I was making things up. Like I straight up had a caseworker call me and tell me, before you get here, your son has a bruise on his face. We just want to let you know so you don't freak out when you get here, because I'm that person that's like looking in at him, checking him for bruises and marks. And then they're trying to make it seem like me doing that to him is stressing him out when I see him. But when I'm finding marks and bruises and things on him, I point it out. When I don't see them, I don't point it out. And so it's like for them to try and take whatever it is that I'm doing as like a concerned mom in some sort of like psycho like freak show. It's just because I knew that last time he was gone from me for so long that I didn't have access to him, that he's still not potty trained and he's 8 years old, which means someone has to touch him and change him every day. And I don't know who those people are. You know, and he's had bad things happen to him at certain schools that I've went to the police of those towns and wanted them to go and investigate and asked them to go in and check. And they're just like, oh, you know, you're just a crazy drug addicted, like welfare mom or whatever. So we're not going to listen to you. That's wrong to do. Even if I was any of those things, that's wrong to do. I know the song about, what is it? I forgot what it was, and this cat distracted me. I'm like, trying to like relate the things that I go to things that are humorous and things that will break up the monotony of the moment by putting it with like things that are funny. And it's just, it's hard too. And it's like, every day to feel like I'm never going to get him back. And I feel like everything is set up in some sort of like tactic to like fuck with me. And then that's what makes you seem like you're like schizophrenic or you're like paranoid or bipolar. But it's like, as a mom that dropped away everything, like I'm not in a relationship with anybody. Like I haven't been since his father, I think 8 years, because I dropped everything to be my son's mom, you know, and everything that I do every day is for him. And I'm doing everything so strictly, like by the book and then extra. And then they're not even reading it as court that I'm doing anything like that. And then my therapist is on leave right now. So all of a sudden she's on leave for like a month. So it makes it look like I'm not going and doing any mental health things when I call the place to have them like put me through to some other therapist, the only person that they'll put me through is to a crisis person. And so then on the court papers, it's going to look like crisis had to intervene in order to get me the mental health therapy that I need. And it's like, I don't even need that therapy though. I don't even need the therapy that I have, to the point where she's not insisting that I have a psychiatrist, which is what they want to do, which is all that they want to do. And it's like, I know that when it's like the people keep going, they're after me and they want to do this and they want to do that. Who is they? I don't know who they are right now. They is the system. They is the government. They is whoever it is that is forcing somebody to do something that they don't want to have to do. And right now, I know that they made a bunch of mistakes, and all they're trying to do is get me to do every single little box that I can to see where they can catch me slipping. And they're not going to. And it's like before, it's like, well, okay, well, why don't you just do everything that you got to do to get him back? And it's like, I am, though. I'm already going to the therapy. And then what they want me to do is go to a psychiatrist that's going to say, oh, you're schizophrenic. Oh, you're bipolar. Because I'm acting up like emotionally. But how am I not supposed to be emotionally? It's like, if I get upset at all about my son being gone and I'm crying, I'm like severely depressed and I need drugs. I need pills. But I'm like, they don't want me to be on drugs, so I'm going to the drug testing place. I have drug counseling. My mother died in her bed on pills. She took pills her whole life, and she just died last year. And so you're drug testing me. You don't want me to be on drugs. You want me to be able to take care of my son because you're worried about that I'm not going to be able to take care of him. But then you want to put me on drugs so that I'm mentally sound enough to be able to understand what's going on around me, when the reason it doesn't make sense is not because I don't understand it. It's because there are things that are wrong. People are not doing their jobs right. They are not holding each other accountable for the things that they're doing. And for some reason, people just don't want to get fired from whatever positions that they have. So they just sweep it under the rug and they just let it go. And that's wrong to do. And I'm not one of those dust bunnies that you're going to sweep under the rug. I'm that bunny that's like, I will come after you in the dark, you know. And I'm not trying to threaten anybody per se right now. I'm just saying that you're just not going to push me away and do that. Like, I'm telling everybody, like, this is the second time this has happened to me. And there's something wrong with the system in the whole state of California that, like, right now, our president is going, he, like, lost his marbles somehow. And he's trying to, like, gather them up in bags and like make new systems. There needs to be a new system right now, sir. Like, in the state of California, there are things that are super wrong, to the point where I have filed reports with the state ombudsperson for the child welfare placement in my area. And then they decided after 10 days of investigation that they wouldn't open up a case. But that's because all the paperwork that they had to look at was incorrect. I mean, if anybody of any real type of like criminal investigative, mindset were to talk to the people involved and look at the paperwork involved, it is so wrong. And like, I have so many ideas of ways to make the whole system better, to restructure it better, to cater to the children, the parents, and the people involved, to make their jobs easier, that just my voice needs to be heard. And it's like, who do I talk to? Who do I reach out to? And I've reached out to everybody that I can. And it's like, I've been attempting to do a podcast, and it's like, that was just originally supposed to be like me. I'm an artist, and I am also just a person that is a philosopher and a poet and a believer and all kinds of things, metaphysical and spiritual, and that's the kind of shit people talk about on podcasts. But like, God forbid I mention any of that when they're trying to take my son away and I'm just some conspiracy theory nutball that's all high. And it's like, I'm not, though. None of my tests were dirty. That's the point. That's what's wrong, is that like they're trying to hold me accountable for stuff that they think is wrong, and it's just not. And I understand how the way that people can act lead you to believe that certain things are wrong. But it's like, when what's wrong is the system, and the people in the system don't want to take accountability for that. It's like, I'm not their boss, but it's like they want me to be like, I don't know. I feel like they want me to be like a legal assistant, because the paperwork that they want me to go in and do and file is stuff that my lawyer should be doing. And I should have a caseworker and somebody working for me doing that. And they're paying some other woman right now to take care of my son. And he was with her before, and something was wrong, and they took him away, and he was actually with the family friend who's not my family friend anymore, just because some issues happened with us for some reason, because my family was then paying her to help with my son. And then it's like, as soon as money's involved, It's like, don't turn my son into your job. But if your job is to take care of my son and the court ordered me certain visits, like I was denied visits for almost a whole month just because they took the visits away when they thought that I was violating terms at a visit when he was so sick in my arms that I was like, look, you got to call the ambulance. You needed to, he's gray and he is limp in my arms and he's falling asleep. And they were trying to say that, oh, they gave him a thermometer and he didn't have a temperature. He didn't have a temperature. But the fact was we were waiting for the person to come back to pick him up to take him to the doctor. And they said I wouldn't leave the room to let the visit end for some reason. I don't know. Something happened that was wrong. I'm not going to leave my son there all limp, asleep, like he's dying in a room by himself when I think he has to go to the hospital. And then I was in town all night with the emergency welfare people trying to get them to take him to the hospital. And they're like, no, we're not going to insist that we drop everything to take care of him. But that he was so sick that I have emails from the school that he was out all week after that. And then he was sick the whole month that he had to keep going back to the doctor. And then he's lost like 10 pounds. And then I'm taking him food to feed him at the visits and then giving him extra food to have the next day. So he has extra food if they don't have enough to feed him. And they're like, no, you can't bring food anymore to feed him. But it's like now, like the visits finally got reinstated, but they're at this place where they're not even monitored as closely as they should be. And then it's like they're lying about things that are going on with me. And the paperwork is getting put in wrong where they said they had to stop a visit 30 minutes before it was over. My caseworker, and I just talked to her about this today, she brought him a half an hour early on one day because she said that they had to go somewhere and that in order to get in the time that we're supposed to have that day, she brought him early. I didn't get there at the early time. I got there on the regular time, which was just 30 minutes after she had brought him. But then they put in papers at court that day they had to stop the visits 30 minutes early because he was upset. No. They stopped that visit 30 minutes early because they were already stopping at 30 minutes early because they brought him 30 minutes early before. Like, so what I'm saying is this is like, and it gets me so upset because I can explain it, but then I feel rushed because it's like right now, normally I do this on my band lab that I'm trying to turn into a podcast, but that at some point it just turned into like screams for help. And then it's like, people are going to want to listen to your podcast if all it is just like you complaining about stuff that's this and that kind of thing. And it's like, I know that. But right now I need help for what's going on with me because it's wrong. And somebody needs to take accountability for that. That if you're getting paid to take care of my son and I'm also court-ordered visits, he has spring break next week, right? Well, they told me that those visits for spring break are canceled. And I'm like, why are they canceled? And then I find out it's because they're going to take him on some retreat. So like right now, while I'm all worried about all these things that are going on, regardless of if I think that there are people trying to attack me on the opposite end, which they are, I don't have the exact tangible proofs all the time. But for me to just feel like you're going to deny me my visits that I'm supposed to have to take him on a retreat, that you're benefiting off of the money that you like take from the state to take care of him, to keep him from me. And then I don't even know like where they're going. Like I kind of know around where it is, but I fear all these things that I know people whose children have been killed in the system that my son is in right now. I spoke to a woman not 2 weeks ago whose child was killed because they starved them to death. They just weren't feeding them the right stuff. And it's like things that just happened like a few years ago. And so for me to be all stressed out every day that my only child, my son, is being dressed like a little girl with his hair in pigtails. His hair's long, but they had it in little pigtails, little braids like this, not cornrows, not styled, but like big, bulby, like pigtails. And there's another picture that I have of what I think is him in a skirt. And then they don't think it's a problem. Like I keep addressing it like, isn't this a problem? Like I feel like that is like a type of molestation for a child, especially as a nonverbal boy, to do to him. So they're allowing whoever has him and whoever's touching him and wherever he is at school to be molested all day just because of the way they're dressing him. I don't like that. And then I don't have access to his school or his medical or anything like that. But if they're going to try and take him to some sort of psychiatric things like they're trying to do to me to put drugs in his system, I don't agree with that. One, for me, I don't believe that I need it. The only reason that I'm stressed and like crazed all the time when they think that I am is because I miss my son and I know something's wrong and I'm like expressing help to the point where I feel like I should be running around screaming for help, but you can't do that because you look crazy. But then what is the help that you need? It's like the help that I need is attention for what's going on to my son and something to be done, and it needs to be done now. It's very important that it's done now because there's somebody trying to stir things up just in the system that doesn't like me, that's putting things incorrectly in the paperwork. And if they're not, then everyone there is doing their job so badly that it's like they're a crazy ex-girlfriend. So if that's the level of people doing the work, somebody needs to go in and nip that in the bud now. And it's just like trying to express this and like not look at myself and then not notice if I see people like that I know or talking in the comments is already like really difficult. I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like Tupac everywhere I go. And there was this thing that I had this like M&M's blanket. It was like a red blanket and these big eyes on it. And then I was wearing it around and it had big eyes. Like, you all eyes on me? All right, go ahead and look at me. I got eyes on my back looking at all of you. I don't want them. I just want to close them. I want to be able to sleep. I want to be able to relax. And like I can't. Just because every thought all day, every day is just like on my son and what's been done. And trying to like give me drugs to fix that. It doesn't fix that. It's just that's why people take drugs. Is to like, in the medical terms, that's to alleviate the symptoms. So you have somebody on the corner who's like, I have headaches. I need this dope to alleviate my symptoms. They're like, no, you just want to get high so the headache goes away. And it's like, but that's what they're trying to do to me. And they don't see that it's the same thing. And it is. So anyway, I guess my midnight revelations are what they are. It's like HR Puffin stuff or IR Baboon. I am Weasel. You are Baboon.